Hello everyone and welcome to a very unique SWTOR video, especially for my channel. I have never done one of these. This is a SWTOR wishlist video, so basically some things that I wish were in the game, especially when it comes to armor sets, customization, mounts and things like that, because I honestly don't know why it hasn't been included yet. And with some of the really bad stuff I've seen been introduced in recent cartel packs, I'm just thinking to myself, why aren't these stuff being included? So I'm just going to be listing out a few stuff in this video. Please let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What are some things you would like to see in game? Or if you guys maybe see any holes in my theories or in what I want, maybe the reason they haven't included a certain something is for this reason, then please just let me know in the comment section. I always read the comments and I'd love to see what you guys think. But let's get right into the list. So the first thing is, we've seen a lot of Vibroswords be released recently, and just none of them have really been amazing. And honestly, I don't know why they don't include this type of Vibrosword. Now, if you don't recognize it, this is like a lightsaber type Vibrosword. It was in the Clone Wars TV series, and it was wielded by a Mandalorian. And what it is basically it's just a hilt, and then it's like a lightsaber. When you activate the button, the blade comes out, and as you guys can see, it's a neat looking blade. I don't know why something like this hasn't been included. It'd be great to see this type of Vibrosword lightsaber hybrid introduced in the game. I think it would be awesome, and I would probably have that on every single one of my melee characters because it would probably be so cool. The other thing I think why not be included is black crystals. We've seen almost every type of color crystal introduced into the game. We have the really simple blue and green. We have like almond blue, whatever the hell that is. So why? And we have the pure white. We even have the white black. I think released in the ranked for the ranked players. I also have one of these crystals because that was the season I actually did some ranked. I don't remember. It was a black and white or a black and silver crystal. And so that was there, so we already kind of leaning towards that, but why not have a pure black crystal? I think that would be super cool. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going into some of the mounts now. We already, why not just complete the set? I mean, we have the Acklay, we have the Nexus, so why not complete the set of the 3 beasts that you see in Attack of the Clones, the ones in the Geonosian arena that we're going to execute Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme. This is the Reek, and I'm just saying, why not throw this into one of those? I think there are a lot of players that would like to ride one of these. Now, one of the topics I really wanted to discuss in this video is flying mounts. I mean, when I watch some World of Warcraft videos, recently I've just been viewing a few, and I see these people flying in these crazy looking horses and dragons and stuff, and I think that's so cool, and I would love to fly in SWTOR, basically. I mean, why not? It would be so awesome to just jump off a cliff and fly. And I'm just saying there's so many mounts that could allow us to fly. I mean, over here I just have the example of the Thranta, and if you guys can think of anything else that's really cool flying mount in Star Wars universe, just throw it down in the comment section. I'd love to read those. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the Rancor itself, look at how tall it is. I mean, if we can have that, why not just take out the body of the Rancor and add in some sort of flying mount, and then we just be like that? I mean, it wouldn't really affect the game in any way. It'd be very similar to how tall a Rancor mount is. It's just instead of having the legs on the ground, we'd have a flying mount. I think that would be really cool. And somehow just for that to be incorporated, especially when you're traversing against really big landscapes like on Alderaan, where there's tons of cliffs and stuff like that, and it's so tedious. You have to go down the designated path that you already spent like 5 minutes coming up on. And so I'm just saying, why not just give us a flying mount? That would be super cool. Also, a sand demon. Would love to ride a sand demon. I did a lore video on this. They're so cool. They're so unique, and I would just love to ride one. Now, this is another topic I wanted to discuss on the topic of mounts. Now, I also did a lore video on crate dragons, and these are huge mounts, and we've seen some really big mounts become incorporated into the game, especially when it comes to Rancors, Varanticus, Monoliths. These are huge mounts that BioWare has been able to incorporate into the game, and we're allowed to ride those mounts on fleets and stuff like that. But obviously, when you're dealing with a mount of this magnitude, like the crate dragon, they're huge. I would still love to see them incorporated into the game, and I think one way that could be done is, especially with planets that have huge landscapes, Tatooine, maybe some parts of Alderaan, but Hoth especially, those type of landscapes, even Ilum to some extent, where you just, you get on your mount, you're just riding across these huge snowy landscape or sand or whatever. It would be awesome if BioWare just gave us a huge ass mount to do that with. It would make it so much more fun, and they could restrict it so that only in certain places you can use that mount. So for example, if they gave us a crate dragon mount that was 3 or 4 times the size of a Rancor, as you guys can see, they're huge. And I actually have a video here, an image here I'll put up of a skeleton. Now, this is a decoration that's available, so it kind of gives you an idea of how big it would be in the game. I mean, if you could introduce that, and then we would be able to ride it. on those very specific landscapes, and then you could have a boundary as well. So let's say, you know, you're in Tatooine Sands, you're riding that thing, having a lot of fun. I'd probably just go for joyrides on it sometimes in the game if it was actually introduced. And then once you reach a certain point, you're getting to some sort of base or whatever, Imperial base, then it immediately dismounts you like it does when you enter a building. And it just says, you know, this mount is no longer available here, and so then you can mount up with some other mount. But I'm just thinking, I think a lot of players would actually like that. I mean, I would pay 10, 15 million credits for one of these, even if I just get to ride it in a few places. As I said, I'd probably go for joyrides because it would be so cool to just ride on this huge mount. And it would also, as I mentioned, it would also make traversing those landscapes a lot of fun. So let's say you're leveling on Tatooine and you have this mount with you, it would just make it more fun to ride across the sands, and you wouldn't really mind riding 10 minutes across, because sometimes you have to do that, especially when you're looking for mobs and stuff like that. So it would be lots of fun. The other thing is armor sets. So I'm just saying, we have the Nihilus mask, and Nihilus has a huge cool story around his armor set. I mean, he was like, you know, the mass shadow generator, which was a huge super weapon, exploded, and it affected him such that he has to feed on force energy. And so he does, when he kills Jedis, he actually like feeds on their energy, and that's how he kills them. And eventually, he reached a point where he had so much dark energy that he couldn't even contain himself, and so he had to create a mask and armor that would allow for him to contain all this dark energy. I mean, that's such a cool story, and we have his mask, and it's an awesome looking mask, sells for millions in the GTN and stuff, but I would just love to see his robes be introduced. I'm not sure why they weren't introduced. As you guys can see from the image and the way he was portrayed in Knights of the Old Republic 2, it's a very simple looking robe, but nonetheless it would probably be very popular in game, even if it just looks as simple as it does in this image, just because of the name. It would be called like Nihilus's robe or whatever, and I would definitely want to wear that on one of my characters, just because of the story that it's associated with. Okay, going to armor pieces. Now, we saw with weapons that you could put in weapon tunings that would affect the weapon in some way, and the only good weapon tuning was the lightning weapon tuning. As I mentioned before, I hated the other weapon tunings. They're really underwhelming. I don't think they affect the weapon enough. But I think it would be cool if we could introduce this type of concept with armors as well. So just the same way we have a dye which would change the color of an armor, it would be awesome if we could add a certain effect to our armor as well, in the same way we add an effect to our weapons. So if we can add a lightning effect or maybe a dark smoky effect on our armor, I think that would be super cool. I think a lot of players would be up for that, because right now we have cool armor sets like Tulak Horde, Sith Recluse, and sure, it's just kind of a sign of prestige because you have this really rare armor set, you're wearing it, and everyone looks at that and goes, oh, that looks really nice. But I think it would add a really deep layer of customization, so players can really customize their character however they want. And also it would just introduce this really cool item into cartel packs, which I think would help cartel packs sell better, at least. I mean, if they contain these really cool items. So we have weapon tunings, why not just add this as well? I think it would be super cool, and as I said, it wouldn't affect the game in any way. It just add in this really good customization option that I think a lot of players would be willing to pay money for. The other thing I wanted to mention is the types of armor that are being released. I mean, we have seen some really crappy armor being introduced into the game, and honestly, look at these images I'm putting up here. Now this is fan art, and it's when I found it on Google Images, it was actually called "Let's Show BioWare the Kind of Armor We Want." And honestly, they were bang on. Like, this is some really awesome looking armor, and the reason I'm putting it up here is because of the spikes. Like when I was first leveling up my Sith character, my Sith Juggernaut, what I was looking for on the GTN was spiky armor. That's what I really wanted. When I imagine a Sith in the Old Republic era, I imagine them wearing this type of armor with lots of spikes, really menacing looking, and we have some nice armor for them in game. But that's partly the reason why I like that helmet I wear so much, and I actually did a video on how you can get that helmet. It's got those nice horns sticking out. That's really like the only spiky armor you can find in game. But this type of armor that you're showing here with the fan art, it's awesome, and I don't know why this type of stuff isn't being included. I mean, if these types of armor sets were being put into game, I think people would be crazy for cartel packs and opening them even more crazy than they are now to try to get this type of armor. One quick thing I also wanted to mention with this meme is recently what the kind of things BioWare does is they'll release a mount, right? Like Varanticus, the Savannah Varanticus was the first Varanticus ever released, and the Dathomir Rancor, and then eventually they'll just keep releasing different models of that mount. But one thing that I didn't really like was they released a silver version of that mount as well. That's really common. So we got a silver jetpack in the Strategy Alliance packs. In the Disavowed pack, we got a silver Varanticus. And I really hope they don't do that with like Rancors or Monoliths or stuff like that, because even though it makes it so much more accessible, it just totally devalues those mounts on the GTN, the gold versions of those mounts. I mean, who cares about paying 5 million for a gold Varanticus when you can just get a K Varanticus for 300,000 credits because it's a silver mount and so much more common. But a lot of people are just willing to get that Varanticus and then be like, okay, I've got one now, I can ride it if I want to, no need to pay the 5 million for a gold one. So I think when you have these really cool mounts, they should be somewhat exclusive, they should be for millions of credits on the GTN, and it shouldn't be devalued by introducing silver versions of that. So I just want to quickly throw that in there. Anyways, that's my wish list for Star Wars: The Old Republic. Let me know if you guys want to see more. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What are some things you would like to see introduced into the game? This is just personally some stuff that was on the top of my head, and I'm not sure who's going to be watching this, or whether this stuff's actually going to be introduced in game, or whether it's already in the process of being introduced. I remember when I was thinking for the longest time, I'm like, why can't we ride jetpacks? I remember I had a mercenary, I was leveling him up, I was leveling up a power tech, and I was just thinking to myself, I would love to ride a jetpack. And now literally everyone's got a jetpack in game, because subscribers have the HK55 jetpack, there's silver jetpacks on the GTN for like 1 million credits, so now everyone can get one. And so it's definitely, I'm hoping that some of the stuff will actually be introduced into the game at some point, because it would definitely make the game just a lot more intriguing and interesting, and these customization options would be awesome. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.